Hi, I'm Ty from NAV. It's not uncommon for small business owners to use their personal credit for business purposes, particularly early stage businesses. But is this a good idea? It's easy to understand why, when business credit is so difficult to come by. Why not whip out your personal credit card to pay for a business lunch or other business expense? There are a couple of really good reasons to keep your personal credit card in your wallet, and the first one is it doesn't help you establish business credit. Your personal card provider doesn't report your business history to the business credit bureaus, so it's not helping you build a good business credit profile. And the second reason is it may even hurt your personal credit score. Even if you pay your credit card balance to zero every month, the more credit you use or the higher your credit utilization, the more harm it could potentially inflict on your personal credit score. 30% of your personal score is a reflection of the amount of credit you use compared to the amount of credit you have, your credit utilization. In other words, if your monthly credit card balance reflects that you're using 75% or more of your available credit, you'll be considered a very high-risk borrower. 50 to 75%, it still looks risky to a lender, and under 50% is looking more reasonable, but you should try to get your utilization even lower. If you can get your credit utilization down below 5%, for example, it will have the biggest impact on improving your score. The higher credit balances that are often associated with business expenses will push your utilization up and potentially pull your credit score down. If you have a good personal credit score right now, a business credit card is relatively easy to qualify for, even for a new business. But you'll want to make sure the card provider reports to the business credit bureaus. In other words, you need to ask because some credit cards don't. If they do, a business credit card can help, even a new business, build their business credit. If you're interested, we can help you find the right business credit card at NAV. Another common scenario is using the equity in your home to start a business. I admit I watched my dad do this, and I actually did it once. But my short answer is no. And even though it's complicated, my answer is still no. In my case, I had a lot of home equity, a good personal credit score, and I was able to easily qualify for the second mortgage. And the money I cashed out helped me get my small business started. My home equity helped me fill my short-term need, but it carried with it long-term consequences I had to live with for a long time after the short-term needs were filled. Let me tell you about my personal experience and why I'm not a fan of using home equity for business purposes. Here's the straight scoop. It added monthly burden to my personal finances. Basically, I doubled the debt burden and the monthly payment obligation associated with my mortgage. It didn't make it easier to get by. In fact, it made it more difficult. I added 10 years to my mortgage. It added a lot of amortizing interest that I'm still paying for today, and my home would otherwise be paid off right now. My personal credit suffered, and part of that is because starting a business sometimes includes some robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you know what I mean. Sometimes those choices include a late house payment, which it didn't impact my business credit profile, but it did impact my personal credit score. And late mortgages can put your house at risk. It didn't help me build a strong business credit profile, and it actually hurt because personal credit is a big part of any small business creditworthiness evaluation. I eventually had to walk away from that business. After a few years, it just didn't make sense to keep it going, despite the fact that I don't like to admit defeat. I had to tell 3 employees I was going to close the business and ended up paying for the second mortgage for years after that. It was an expensive lesson from almost 20 years ago that informs how I approach business financing today. It's just a good practice to keep business expenses and business credit completely separated from personal credit and personal expenses. My advice applies for paying for personal expenses with business credit too. I know a lot of business owners do it, but it's not something I recommend. Several years ago, I was speaking to an analyst I knew at Experian who told me payment terms with vendors and business credit cards were the best way for a new business to establish business credit. I've seen and experienced that to be true. Of course, there are a lot of opinions on this topic, and that's just my 2 cents. But I hope this information was helpful, and thanks for watching.